Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Andy, I hope what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas because I want what happened in Vegas to be the rest of the season. We'll talk about it next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers your first listen to every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one's always free. It is never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with 22,000 subscribers, Andy, all of whom I think are still buzzing about the 133-89 beatdown that the Lakers put on the New Orleans Pelicans in the semifinal of the in-season tournament on Thursday. This one was gorgeous, just beautiful. And as I say, I don't want this to stay in Vegas. Like this is like the fully realized version of the Lakers. We've been waiting, Andy, for them to play that game where we got a feel for their ceiling. Like, oh, this is what it can look like sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I don't know if shooting, what was it, like 50% from behind the arc?
They were 50% while the starters were in, and they finished at 49.6 or 48.6.
Right.
So,
yeah. 17 for 35 from behind the arc. Like, I don't know if that is sustainable over the course of the season. Although, I mean, he's not the main story of this game. If you're looking at players, the main story is clearly LeBron, and we will get into LeBron. But if you are looking at what is starting to feel, happily, like more sustainable trends when it comes to three-point shooting, Taurean Prince made 5 threes in this game. And
5 of 9.
Yeah, you and I, it was maybe like 3 weeks ago, where we were talking about whether or not Taurean should move to the bench. Like just the idea that he needed his minutes reduced, that they were, we weren't looking to take him out of the rotation entirely, and we weren't giving up on him as a player, but we were just saying, like, right now he's, at the time, this is also when the Lakers were missing. We will get into this as well. Some of the wings that have clearly unlocked a lot of what this team can do defensively. So you had Taurean defending assignments that don't play to all of his strengths on top of not being able to make outside shots.
That was the thing. He just wasn't making shots. The reason we thought he might need to move out of the starting line, he wasn't making shots.
Right.
Well, he came into Thursday's game over his last 7 shooting almost 47 or 48% from 3. That went up on Thursday. So if he is making shots, and this is actually a debate that it's a discussion that's worth having, sort of had a little bit tonight on Twitter. When he's making shots, there are actually a ton of reasons where you'd want to keep him in the starting lineup, which we will not necessarily break down. But I will say this.
I mean, for the time being, neither one of us is calling to take him out of the starting lineup.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there's a reason to give him this many minutes and all this kind of stuff when he's making shots. But the shooting more broadly, and we'll get to LeBron here because LeBron was a huge part of the shooting. He made all 4 of his 3-pointers on Thursday night. When the Lakers this is why shooting is so important. Like when the Lakers shoot like this, and maybe 50% is unsustainable. Okay, fine. But when they shoot well and other parts, they're paying attention defensively, you really see what this is supposed to look like, what it means to open up the shooting lanes, and what it is to have, the space for LeBron to do stuff, and what the offense can look like, what making shots like this does for their defense, like everything. It's like, oh, this is nice. The Lakers are not going to lose many games where they shoot well in this way. It's just not going to happen.
There were 5 rotation guys, Taurean Prince, LeBron James, Cam Reddish, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Austin Reeves. So make that 6 rotation players who made at least 1 3 in this game. Reeves made 3, D'Lo made 2. We said LeBron made 4 and Torian 5. Like, this was just an insane game from behind the arc. It's interesting. This game began in a way that had you a little bit concerned because they were getting crushed. Stop me if you've heard this before at times over this season. They were getting absolutely killed by another team on the offensive glass. Like New Orleans had, with I think like 7 minutes left in the first half, they already had 9 offensive rebounds, and they had something like 7 second chance points, I want to say, in the first 5 minutes of this game. So you're getting concerned, like, uh-oh. And in the meantime, too, the Lakers have had some games where their opponents have done pretty well against them from behind the arc. They're 4 of 9, New Orleans, from behind the arc after the first quarter. And they actually, and it's hard to believe given what the final score was, but the first quarter ended with New Orleans up a point. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't at that point worried about the Lakers losing this game because there was, it was a 1-point game and there's 3 quarters to go. But I was worried about certain things that have hurt the Lakers at times when they have not played well, because some of those things, also too, 6 turnovers for the Lakers in the first quarter.
That was the big one to me.
D'Angelo Russell, who's been quite good taking care of the ball this season, very uncharacteristically sloppy. He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter alone.
Right, finished with 4. He got much better, but he was sloppy at the beginning of the game.
But the first quarter, in a lot of ways, felt like the blueprint for either beating the Lakers or the Lakers beating themselves. Mm-hmm. But then second quarter came around and LeBron basically said, "Not on my watch, mother bleepers." Mm-hmm. No.
What I thought was interesting about this, and this was LeBron led. Like, they came out of in the first quarter was up and down. The Lakers got off to a good start. They got out to a little lead. I think it was like a 23-5 run or something that New Orleans made to take the lead back. And then after that, the Lakers.
Herb Jones was fantastic for New Orleans in the first quarter.
So, but the Lakers did come out with energy and effort and all that kind of stuff. And they kind of weathered the only punch that New Orleans had. But what I really thought was amazing about this run the Lakers went on, it was like a 2-quarter run, was, New Orleans was energy, and they were, they came out and they were excited, and they're the young team that's kind of trying to do what Indiana did in the afternoon game, getting to the finals and put themselves on the map and all this kind of stuff. And the Lakers matched the energy, but they also responded after a couple sloppy plays early with execution. It was, we'll match your energy, and we're going to add a layer of execution on top of this New Orleans Pelicans, and let's see if you can keep up with that. And that was what was impressive to me. The Lakers were so on point defensively, especially, but offensively as well. And at the center of it, and we will talk about him next, Andy, was LeBron James, who clearly, as Andy Kamenetsky predicted, really wants to win the in-season tournament and would like to be the MVP.
Yes, he would.
So he's going to have to steal it away from Tyrese Halliburton, but we'll see how that goes, because LeBron usually gets what he wants. Talk about it next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by PrizePicks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. And instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players, their stats projections, and just watch the winnings roll in up to 25 times your money. And with basketball in full swing, you can pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, created specifically for projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James, Travis Kelce, at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made in receptions. And with PrizePicks, their reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For NFL games, NBA games. If you have a player who exits in the first half for an injury, doesn't return in the second half, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
You know, on this show, you get a lot of in-depth analysis and hot takes, right? Well, let me give you my hottest take of the day. The best lineup in LA and the surrounding areas right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off at the top with my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans with super low rates and flexible payment terms. Rounding out their lineup, they've got their auto refinancing loans and lease buyout loans. With these guys, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Look, I know it's a hot take, but seriously, no one can beat the lineup at Logix. Visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and the surrounding areas. Let one of their amazing team members help you, or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com/car. That's LOGIX banking.com/car. Before we get to LeBron, I saw our friend Arash Markazi at the Sporting Tribune tweeted out that the Lakers, I guess, confirmed that they will not be hanging a banner if they win the in-season tournament this year. Is there anyone anywhere who thought they were going to?
Me.
Really?
Yes.
You thought they'd hang a banner?
Yes, because if there are banners being made for this thing and the Lakers win, the Lakers are the team you actually need to hang a banner because you want to give this thing legitimacy.
Mm-hmm.
If the Lakers don't hang a banner, if banners were made available, if you have the banner option, then you are making it look like, well, this is the junior varsity trophy. This is the championship that doesn't count as much. Like, I actually thought, I mean, maybe there are no banners being given out for this thing. And if there are no
that would
banners,
be the right way to do it.
Well, look, I can honestly, I see the argument for if you want to give this thing as much legitimacy and cultural cachet, you should be doing banners. You should be doing trophies. I mean, a parade is too much logistical stuff right now, but I'm just saying,
parade is a little much.
Parade is a little much. You don't play enough rounds. You don't blah blah blah. But if there are no banners, there are no banners. But like the idea of the Lakers wouldn't do it. No, to me, the Lakers are precisely the team that if you're the NBA, you need.
Right. So the difference is what you're talking about is the NBA would essentially make them. Let's see what happens on what the argument. The argument you're making is actually an interesting one that I haven't really thought about. So
I'll tell you right now, if there are banners made available, Adam Silver is going to be inside the crypt in the rafters hanging that thing up. He
might have to. But anyway, let's table this conversation because it was a different answer than I thought I was going to get. Let's talk about LeBron James, because if there is an MVP trophy, and there is for the tournament, he wants it. And this guy has played at just like there's something about these tournament games. It really dialed him in. He was great the other night against Phoenix. Great again against New Orleans, and even better, got to do all of this greatness in only 23 minutes.
23, by the way, his number. I mean, talk about just everything being on point from LeBron. I mean, I've already said now, multiple times. I said this in mid-November. I thought LeBron, he had projected a lot of seriousness and like enthusiasm about this tournament, and I had thought from the beginning he wants to win this thing just in case. End up a thing in NBA culture. He will be part of history as being, the leader and probable MVP of the inaugural in-season tournament. Got an interesting tweet though from @MoreThanMuscle, Mind Over Muscle. People also forget that each of these games are technically closeout games, and LeBron is all about closeout games. I
That's
love
true.
that take. That's a really
interesting way of looking at it. Like in a single elimination tournament, like LeBron would have won the NCAAs every year he played.
Yeah, I mean, has LeBron lost a closeout game before? Of course he has, but his overall track record in closeout games is pretty damn good.
Pretty good. Just the control and look, the efficiency on Thursday with 30 points and on 9 of 12 and all 4 of your 3-pointers and all 8 of your free throws. Like,
and by the way, 8, speaking of control, 8 assists against 0 turnovers.
0 turnovers. There is a, and obviously a level of efficiency that is, even when LeBron is at his best, he doesn't always really do this. But what I really think is, like, I listened to Taurean Prince on the radio broadcast after the game, and he was asked about LeBron's attitude about this, how he's playing and all these other things. And it is very clear when you listen to Prince's answer, about the way he prepares and all this other stuff, that the seriousness with which he took this was both based in what you're talking about. I think, like, there's a thing out there that he hasn't won. I think he'd like to go win it. Mm-hmm. But also just in the sense of, like, the value of, even for a team with some veterans on it, practicing winning something. Like, we talked about that quote from after the Suns game, like, there's something out there to win. Like, let's go do it. Really, the more this goes on, and I think there's a direct correlation to the precision and activity with the Lakers have played 6 of these games to this point. It cannot be fluky. And kind of as a dress rehearsal for what hopefully will be coming in the spring.
Yeah. James Worthy was the first person. I don't remember which round of these in-season tournaments it was, but he was the first person that I heard talk about this in terms of prep for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Like this is something that gets you just in the mindset of not just looking to win something, that there's like an end game involved in this, the same way there's an end game for the NBA playoffs, but just the idea of mental preparation mm-hmm. for something like this. Right now you're looking at every single game. If you are taking this seriously, and clearly the Lakers are, and quite frankly, I think most of these teams have taken this quite seriously since the outset. But
right, and the ones that weren't will next year.
Right, but like the more this has gone along, it's no accident that the majority of these games have been really close the further along we've gone, because all of these teams really want to win this thing, but they're all kind of game 7s in their own right. Like, in terms of the way you have to treat this as win or go home.
Right.
Even if, you mentioned the idea of the, hanging a banner or whatever, like I'm not putting this tournament on the level of the NBA championship, because it's not.
It's not.
But the idea of, if you want to win this thing, you have to play at a game 7 level of no mistakes, playing the right way, bringing out the best of yourself in this one game. Like, by definition, that's what it is.
There is enough to it. No, but LeBron James is not going to tell you, like, yeah, it's, I'm treating this exactly the same as I would a game 7. The stakes are different. Like, the Lakers lose on Saturday to Indiana, which could happen because the only team that might be more hyped about this thing than the Lakers is Indiana and Tyrese Halliburton.
As much as the NBA wanted this to be Lakers, Bucks, LeBron, Giannis, like, I mean, yes, they did.
Right.
I
wanted Indiana to win.
The opportunity, though, for the league to showcase this real superstar talent in Halliburton mm-hmm. in this type of setting, that ain't the worst consolation prize.
It's not at all. I think it's the best it's the best result for the league, because they'll sell tickets actually in the venue because the Lakers are there. It turns into a Lakers home game, but they get to put Tyrese Halliburton on TV. So you still have the draw, but now you can put a couple extra stars. Like, Halliburton is a transcendent talent, and needs to be on television more often. And look, I mean, for these guys, it kind of is the Super Bowl. It's like their chance to get themselves in a place where they're going to earn a couple extra flex games out of this. We're going to put, Halliburton on. So it's a great venue for the league to get some of these other stars on television. Didn't work out for Zion on Thursday, but that's a different issue. And even for a team like the Lakers, like they've had too much experience to say, okay, yeah, it's a game 7. Like it's exactly the same, because it's not exactly the same, but there's enough there where you can pretend, where you can use it as a dress rehearsal. You did theater, I did some, and like it's like the dress rehearsal isn't the performance, but it's different than regular rehearsal. It is a step higher than that. And that's what this is. And I feel like that's the part about this tournament that I really underestimated, was the value for teams that goes beyond the money. But I want to talk about the money next.
The Lakers is brought to you by Jace Medical, and we all use sports to escape from the crazy realities of real life. But unfortunately, real life never goes away for good. And according to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. We've seen over the last few years what happens when the supply chain gets bogged down for whatever reason with whatever product. It's really stressful. Thankfully, Jace Medical can help alleviate that stress. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among other stuff. And there are medicines that could be handy to have if your doctor wanted to prescribe them, but for whatever reason, access isn't readily available. So visit jacemedical.com, complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It has never been more important to be prepared than right now. Go to jacemedical.com, use the offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Reminder, the Lakers play the Pacers Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. The Lakers in the finals of the first ever in-season tournament. You can catch every basket of the Lakers hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Lakers.
It's going to be really fascinating, Andy, to watch a game on Saturday where essentially, at least the only tangible thing does not count in the standings, where guys are just playing for money, where the reward is straight cash. And it's a perfect amount. It's a meaningful amount of money to certainly the guys closer to the end of the bench, the younger players. But even somebody like Prince, I mentioned earlier on this post-game show, that money came up, and he's like, yeah, we want to go, like, that's 10% of even like what Taurean Prince makes in a year. And then most of us, given a chance to earn 10% of our income in a day, would bring a little extra something to work. But it's just a strange thing. It's not a playoff game, so you're not working towards your postseason goals. It doesn't count in the standings, but you're playing for a giant frickin' pot of money, and then whatever sort of comes with it. It's a really interesting thing that we've covered the league for a long time. I've never seen a game like this before.
Well, I mean, to put it in perspective, you talked about how it's a tenth of Taurean Prince's yearly salary, this one game. Even a guy like D'Angelo Russell, who makes, I believe it's 17 and a half or 18 and a half, it's still about double a game check. You start having to really get to the upper guys, the LeBrons, the ADs, before the money starts seeming, I don't know, inconsequential enough that you could wonder if they care. But it's been made pretty clear guys around the league care.
Yes.
I mean, and look, in certain respects, it's pretty refreshing, because one of the reasons that a lot of people, and I'll include myself in there, were skeptical about what this thing was, and at the very least, could it take off quickly, was just the idea that it's $500,000. And I know $500,000 isn't nothing. And I know that these guys even have a sense that $500,000 isn't nothing. but they make so much money. Would $500,000 actually be enough to be a motivating force? The answer is clearly yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the competition of it all and the setup, and these guys are competitive psychopaths. Like I don't want to sell these guys short just in terms of the way they're wired.
Mm-hmm.
But look, they are just like the rest of us. They care about money. And, we see billionaires commit financial crimes all the time
to try to get like a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly care about money. And if, people worth like tens of billions of dollars will commit crimes to get, an extra $2 million, it stands to reason that NBA players worth anywhere from tens of hundreds of millions of dollars could still want an extra $500K for doing their job.
You don't have a lot to do it. You don't, a huge need for it, but you can turn around and hand that money to any number of people, which I'm sure a lot of these guys will. Want to note some of the other performances that the Lakers got: 16, 15, 5, 2, and 2 from Anthony Davis. He only played 31 minutes, was extremely active in this game. D'Lo, aside from those early turnovers, he finished with 14 points, 2 of 5 from 3-point range. Austin Reeves, I thought, was great. He was certainly treating this like a big game, bright lights moment. He had 17, 5, and 7. It's just like, I was so impressed again with the level of execution in this game from the Lakers. Was better certainly than anything we've seen this year, and especially in combination with the energy that was required to face a Pelicans team that really wanted this game. And also, like, oh, by the way, the Pelicans are a good team. Like we've been waiting to see the Lakers dismantle a good team, and that's what they did.
Boy, the Pelicans just, they played hard, and like I said, they were up by a point after the first quarter, but they got taken, like you said, out of sorts, dismantled. When things started going bad, it started going.
The Lakers had an answer for everything they tried to do.
Yeah. And, Darvin talked after the game about just how now having this full complement of wings, and they basically have their roster other than Gabe Vincent, but there's so much now of a longer, more athletic team.
Mm-hmm.
And, just being able to throw out some combination at all times of Cam Reddish, of Jared Vanderbilt, of Max Christie, of Taurean Prince, of Rui Hachimura, who in a lot of ways serves as a defensive wing. It has this effect that allows Anthony Davis to be the best version of himself defensively. It allows LeBron to be the best version of himself at this particular stage of his career defensively. Mm-hmm. It even allows some of the weaker links like, D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves to be the best version of themselves.
Because they don't have to guard well above their station consistently. You can put people into their positions of strength. In the case of D'Lo, it's like, can you be in places where you can get, some hands on passes and stuff like that. For Reeves, it's, can you be a good team? He's a pretty good team defender in terms of awareness of where he's supposed to be. Prince, it's like, okay, we no longer need you to guard the best player on the other team, which you're not really, that's not your jam. But what you can do is guard the second or third bet. Like, you can guard the other team's
or at all times. Like, he guarded Kevin Durant at times
on
against
possessions. I saw, Halliburton get matched up with Brooke Lopez today. Like, that's not the intention. It always is going to happen. But like, in terms of what you're designing, and I think that you can always have Reddish and Vanderbilt on the floor as a starting point. If you need to add something to that for the moments that Davis is sitting down, you can do a lot of stuff though. But what you don't have to sacrifice, and this is part of the reason I think as we talk about somebody like Prince, like when everybody is slotted where they ought to be, you don't have to sacrifice spacing by saying, you know what, we need to put Jared and Cam Reddish on the floor at the same time, because that over time is not a good formula. Reddish hit one of his 2 3-pointers today. Vanderbilt didn't take one, but you're going to have real spacing issues with those guys sharing the floor for extended periods of time. And, you don't want AD stepping out and taking too many 3-pointers. You want that floor space for him. And so, somebody like Christie can come in and do those things. A credible shooter with a real jump shot, can generate his own shot. Rui's obviously shot really well. They just, it puts everyone where they're supposed to be. And it's not going to be like it was on Thursday every night, Andy, but like we just haven't seen enough games with them together. And by the way, I believe Russell mentioned, I think, that like Hachimura and Vanderbilt are still on minutes restrictions. So Darvin's hands are a little bit tied, but like you got the taste Thursday for what this could look like. And it's something that Lakers fans have been begging for all year long.
Yeah, two really quick things before we go. First, with the idea of what the wings do for this team in terms of unlocking different defensive combinations and just, bringing out the best version of each other. And also, I think what Darvin wants. This is the second game where Jackson Hayes has been the only big off the bench, like true big off the bench. Yep. And Christian Wood, had this not turned into a blowout, likely would not have played at all. And given who's there right now and what we're seeing, Hayes fits into that much better because he's more athletic. He is more switchable. Like there have been times where Darvin's had Hayes out on the perimeter guarding. Like we've seen this happen enough that it's not his primary.
No, they're not asking to like drop and stay back at the basket and all that.
Like not at all
like,
times.
No.
And I think it's because it fits this athletic mode. Also, just wanted to mention the Lakers cutting in this game was so good. Mm-hmm. And I mean everybody from Rui to D'Lo to I think Vando.
Nobody's standing around, and that shows you how much that they were invested into the game.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of guys on this team that actually cut very well. Yep. Like Rui has become an extremely good cutter. He finds a lot of his baskets around the rim just by sneaking into a spot.
Yeah, no question. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with 22,000 very excited people looking forward to the finals of this tournament on Saturday against Indiana. I don't know, probably like 6:15 in the morning, given what Vegas did.
No, it is at. I want to make sure this is clear. It is at 5:30 Pacific time. The Lakers in the finals for the first ever in-season tournament. You can catch every basket of the Lakers hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Lakers. So 5:30 Pacific time.
Much
serious people want us to be accurate.
Much more reasonable time. We will see everyone after that game.